everybody, it's Patty from I Can't Wait. I hope everyone's doing fine today and having a good day. I just wanted to give a little update on what's going on with me, and I wanted to talk about what it's like to have your surgery, your VSG surgery done in Mexico. First, I wanted to say I am really super excited today because I am in Wonderland. I'm so jazzed. I got on the scale and I was 199.3 pounds today. And that's the first time in 21 years that I've been under 200 pounds. So it was really exciting for me. And I hope the scale keeps going down. I'm kind of afraid it's a false reading, but I think it'll stick if I keep doing my low-carb keto hybrid diet. So anywho, I'm 5'3.5". I'm 59 years old, and I had VSG, or vertical sleeve gastrectomy, weight loss surgery on April 19th, 2017. My surgery weight was 265 pounds, and like I said, my current weight is 199.3, so that's a loss of about 66 pounds, I think. Anyway, I'm a little bit of a slow loser, but I'm really, really pleased that I've been able to lose weight because Lord knows diets didn't work for me my whole life, so I'm really pleased about that. Last week I was 201.2, so I think I lost 1.9 pounds this week, which is refreshing because usually I lose less than that. Anyway, I will get started talking about what it's like to have your vertical sleeve gastrectomy done in Mexico with Dr. Mario Almanza through Weight Loss Agents. All in all, I had a really good experience and I would do it again, but I was scared and uncertain at first, like probably most of you are if you're considering it or if you've done it in Mexico before. My husband went with me, luckily. It was really a big help, and I'm so grateful that he went and that he was on board with the whole thing. We flew from Las Vegas, which is our closest big airport, to San Diego. We landed, got our stuff, and then we went outside of the terminal to wait for the van that picked us up and some other surgical patients who were there also. We found out when they got in the van, we noticed they'd been standing near us. So they just kind of cruised around, and the van went to each terminal where there was a patient waiting. Then they drove us through San Diego, and then they drove us to the border of Mexico. And we got in really quickly, so that went well. Then we drove through Tijuana, which, to be truthful, it's kind of depressing. The outskirts of Tijuana are pretty poverty-stricken. So at that point I was a little nervous because I thought, well, what's the hospital going to be like? We arrived at the hospital in a much nicer part of town, and I don't exactly know what part of Tijuana it was, but it was a much, much nicer part of town, and I think it took about 2 hours from the airport to the hospital. So we all filed out of the van with our significant others. We went into the new, very small hospital. I think it was called Green and Health Hospital. And it was very nice. It was appointed very nicely with chairs and sofas and all the things that you would see in a hospital. And they took us for our pre-op work where they took blood, they did labs, and they also did an EKG on each of us. After we were all finished, they loaded us back up in the van and took us to our hotel. And the hotel, I'll admit, was a little bit funky, but it was pretty nice. It had a really nice pool, and it had really pretty grounds with bougainvillea flowers and different vegetation. So we all kind of assembled and got to know each other a little bit, the patients that were going to be having surgery the next day. So that was kind of fun. Everyone was nervous, everyone was NPO, so we couldn't have anything to eat or drink. And so no, I lied, sorry. There's a restaurant there on the site, on the hotel site, and we did get to have broth when we first got there. It was later that evening that we couldn't have anything else to eat or drink. So we went to bed. I didn't sleep because I was nervous. And about, I think 6:30 in the morning, the van came, picked us up. We all loaded in the van and drove back to the hospital, which is a little ways away, about half an hour, I think, from where our hotel was. We walked up the stairs in the hospital. They have no elevators. That was kind of weird, no elevators. And then we all sat down, and the doctor came in, Dr. Almanza, who's adorable, really nice man, and his assistant came in, and he met everyone. He gave us a little spiel on what was going to happen. He took pictures with everyone who wanted to have a picture, and the first name that was called was mine. So I was the very first one that day. I think there were 9 of us, 8 or 9 of us, all in one day. So I went back, they got my IV started, put a gown and a cap on me, and I walked out of that door across the hall where everybody else was waiting in my gown, which was kind of weird, and I walked right into the OR. I laid down, the anesthesiologist said count to 10, and that was it. And the next thing I remember, I woke up. I kind of moaned a little bit. I remember that, and I remember a nurse, but that's all I remember until they took me to my room, and I was pretty alert, actually. That's just how I wake up from anesthesia. So I was in my room for I don't know how long with an IV, not in pain really. I was sore, but I wasn't in pain. They had an IV, the IV hat contained antibiotics and pain medicine and anti-nausea medicine. So all 3 of those bases were covered. I'm allergic to cephalosporin antibiotics, which is what they use usually, so I had to have a special antibiotic, which kind of irritated the nurses, I think, at some points, but those were going all the time. The IV was going all the time. Then my first roommate came in. I say first because there were 4 of us in one room and one tiny bathroom. It was nice and it was new, but it was tiny. Then 2 teenage girls came in after that, and they were puking all night long. And that was disturbing because it smelled, and they couldn't help it. It wasn't their fault, But we only had that one little bathroom, and they were puking, and it wasn't a good sight. Wasn't a pleasant thing. So that night I didn't sleep either. So I had 2 nights with no sleep so far. The night was long. We spent most of our time, they got us up walking. So we spent most of the night walking the halls back and forth with our IV poles. And we kind of chatted with each other, walking past each other all night long. So that was kind of interesting, but it helps to get the gas that settles in your shoulders and in your tummy. So that was the only thing that was sort of painful. The next morning at 6:30, I think in the morning, the van came back, picked us up. We walked down the stairs and took us back to the hotel. I did have a drain. It wasn't as big a deal as I thought it would be. And my husband met me when I got there out of the van, and he kind of walked me into the room. I got situated in the hotel room, and the rest of the day we just sat around the pool. It was nice. The weather was nice in April, and the second day we were allowed to have ice chips and apple juice. So everyone was really excited to have some of that because we hadn't had anything to drink for, I don't know how many hours, 30 hours, something like that. So we all sat around and chatted, and it was actually kind of fun. It was kind of nice. They have 24/7 nurses around the clock at the hotel. And if you needed anything, you just dialed the special number and they would get right on it. So they would bring you popsicles and juice and anything that you needed. They would change out your IV bags, give you medicine if you needed it, and it all worked really well. I was surprised. I don't know what I expected, but it was decent. It really was. So after 2 days of that, the next morning, the day before I went home, they pulled my drain. It didn't hurt, but it felt really funky. It felt really, really weird because you could tell something was being pulled out of your body. So they did that, and it was really a relief to get the drain out. It didn't hurt, it just was kind of uncomfortable. Spent the night that night. Next morning, time to go home. Got ready at 6 in the morning. I think the van picked us up again at 6 o'clock, and we were on our way back to the United States. I think everyone in my group, except for 1 or 2 people, were perfectly fine. And the 2 people that didn't have such a great time, I think they had other problems too, so that contributed to their not having as good a recovery as the rest of us. So everyone actually did pretty well. We raced to the border. We got over the border relatively quickly, and a couple hours later we were back in the good old USA. And I can't say anything really negative about my experience. I was scared. I mean, I was a little nervous, but I'm so glad my husband went with me. If you're thinking of doing it, medical tourism in Mexico, I would definitely take either your spouse or a friend or someone, just because I really needed the help. I needed physical help. So that worked out really well, and I'm glad my husband went. I was really grateful. I forgot to tell you, the day before we left, after they pulled our drains, they took us shopping in kind of the funky tourist shopping area where they try to pull you in like carnies in a carnival. But it was okay. I ended up getting a pair of earrings. But all in all, my experience was good. I would recommend Dr. Mario Almanza and weight loss agents to anyone who's considering medical tourism or having their VSG in Mexico. One thing I really liked, or 2 things I really liked about Dr. Almanza is, A, he's had the surgery himself, so he knows what's going on. And B, he's done about 5,000 VSG surgeries. So I figured he's pretty experienced. And they do run you in and out. I mean, a lot of people each day, but I think they have it down to a really good science. Anyway, I will conclude this video. I know it's pretty long, so if any of you are still with me, if you would like and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate it. And I also appreciate all the videos of you veteran VSGers out there. Your videos mean so much to me, and I'm so grateful that you're still making them and that I can watch them and learn from you. So until next time, have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.